All right, and welcome into the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast, your place for a refreshing and feel-good take on fantasy football and NFL gambling. Best balls are going down and redraft strategies are beginning to take shape, which means it's the perfect time to fire up a new game of Would You Rather, featuring our early 2026 fantasy football ADP. I'm your host, Seth Wilcock, ready to rock and roll with a couple of the best in the biz, including a big business, light ranch, and son of a gun, looking incredibly cool as I just about always. Honestly, Eric Romoff, Tex, how you doing as we prepare to stand on business today?
Man, I'm ready. 10 toes down. We're gonna be planting some flags on some admittedly difficult decisions. Seth is absolutely putting us through the wood chipper in terms of these calls we got to make today.
Hey, that's what we do here best, man. We gotta back the takes and gotta take a side. And someone who's always good at doing that is our resident ACC apologist, Boston's boy Steve Lawson. Steven, how are you? As we're nearly just like 2 to 4 months from some redrafts firing up, depending on when you draft.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling excited. I don't feel like I need to apologize for the ACC. It's a perfectly good conference with perfectly good competition.
Good.
Like,
Fresh off a title game.
yeah, I mean, we had the runner-up for the national championship. I mean, we were fresh off of a dynasty in Clemson. I mean, it's not like they've never played football before, and I'm like, a MAC apologist.
Oh, okay. All right. Jeez.
Yeah.
Someone gets a little Toledo love up in here, and all of a sudden I'm the bad guy rooting for the underdogs. But I get it. I understand. And fresh off a Clemson dynasty, that was 2000. That was pre-COVID, buddy. That was pre-COVID. So I will say though, excited to have both of you back on the program, regardless of your college football loyalties. And as noted, we do have our top 6 would you rather fantasy football early debates for you coming at you. And quick reminder, the easiest free way to support us is go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, and also make sure y'all are subscribing to the brand new IBT podcast sub channel right here on YouTube. That's right, it's a channel that's just NFL football all the time from fantasy football and NFL betting perspective. You can subscribe now at youtube.com/@IBT podcast, or go ahead and just hit the subscribe on your computer, tablet, phone, whatever you're watching on these days. We'd really appreciate that as we continue to grow that sub channel along with our main channels as well. And gentlemen, let's go ahead and fire it up here with a little Would You Rather fantasy football ADP adventure.
Risky business or that fair say. Are you that hard on the rise? We're chilling with a cold one. Even bold one or hold back. Would you rather? This ain't no simple matter.
Would you rather? It's no simple matter, specifically when I'm drawing up the questions here, gentlemen. And the first debate comes at the running back position. We've recently did our top 3 players that we're forgiving in 2026, and we featured Ashton Genty. Someone else in that same range at the running back position is Omarion Hampton, checking in at RB9, and Kenneth Walker III at RB11. Hampton returns from really was an injury-plagued rookie season where he finished as the RB13 on points per game basis in just 10 games played. And he should also get a boost. We got Mike McDaniel on the 6th now for the Chargers, replacing arguably what I think is one of the most overrated play callers in the NFL. And we also have a revamped interior offensive line that also is going to get both tackles back healthy as well. And we also then have Kenneth Walker, who finds his way to Kansas City on a very lucrative free agent deal. But Walker, in totality, has actually never finished better than PPR RB18 across 4 seasons, some of that being injury-related. However, his top competition in the Chiefs' backfield currently is second-year player Brashard Smith out of SMU. So, Steven, the question is, are you going with Omarion Hampton or Kenneth Walker at current cost?
I'm going Kenneth Walker, and this is actually a fairly easy one for me. I didn't have to think about this for more than like a second. Kenneth Walker is going to the Kansas City Chiefs, where, like you said, Brashard Smith is his only competition. Not only that, they have gotten rid of Matt Nagy, and it is back to Eric Bieniemy, the RB whisperer, as he were. He is going to put up monster numbers. This was a guy that, as I mentioned on the last program, was one of the first 6 guys signed. I mean, he signed right out the gates. This was the priority for the Kansas City Chiefs that had a lot of holes to fill, and one of them was running back, and they made that the top priority in this offense. Now, I know Mahomes is injured. We might be getting Justin Fields early. I don't think it's going to matter. I think it's going to be Kenneth Walker all 3 downs in space, creatively used by Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. I think he's going to be running wild. I think the Super Bowl MVP performance that we just saw is a sign of things to come for young KW3.
Okay, Eric, where do you stand on this side? Because I'm entrenched fully with Omarion and Hampton. Give me the running back who's got a little more pass catching upside. Give me the guy here who was just electric when he got the opportunity, right? So where do you come down here on Omarion and Hampton versus KW3? Are you with Steve, or are you with the man who might have brought you into this program? Not brought you into the world, but brought you into this particular program.
Man, this is a loaded question all of a sudden. I am here for the guy that is going to be the primary running back in a Mike McDaniel scheme and system almost 7 days a week and twice on Sunday, right? You go back to this Mike McDaniel system anytime that he's at the 6. He is one of the most brilliant play designers, and specifically run play designers, in all of the NFL. Like, my dude is putting on a masterclass at every stop that he has when he's calling plays. Go back and look at his tenure in Miami, where he has a top 5 or 6 running back in all of his seasons calling plays, including a 2023 season where both Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane finished in the top 5. And now you plop him into this offense that is very clearly going to run through the ground game, right? They are going to use the run to set up the pass, and you give him a talent that is, for my money, at a different level than that of Kenneth Walker, who apparently couldn't earn more than a 50% snap share next to alleged bum Zach Charbonnet in Seattle. Look, I mean, if I'm being entirely honest, I don't think there's necessarily a bad choice here, right? But they're currently sitting right next to each other in ADP, and if I'm in that position, I am happily clicking Omarion Hampton's name over Kenneth Walker.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you there. The opportunity share was high last year. I believe Vidal will be back this season. They do have Keaton Mitchell, but no one really scaring me on that Chargers roster. I like Mike McDaniel. I like what he's been doing with this team. And like, you look at what we had to deal with last year from a Marion run block rating, 31.9. That's 43rd best. And that is actually a combination of the yards blocked per carry and the stuff run rate. And then you look at the yards created per touch, he's 11th. So this is a guy, I think, as that offensive line improves, as that offensive play calling improves, it will certainly improve his overall finish. Steve, any take me backs and any change in the tides for you, or staying true after hearing what we had to say?
Nope. I'm holding tight.
Okay. All right. And next up here, we have a couple big name wide receivers: George Pickens, wide receiver 9, and Nico Collins, wide receiver 10, down in Eric's part of the country there. GP comes off a career season, 93 receptions, 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns, 137 targets after being traded from the Steelers for a freaking 3rd round pick. Wide receiver 5 overall finish for him in fantasy football. As of now, the status quo remains unchanged in Big D. They need to add more talent to that secondary, to that overall defense. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson remain intact as well. And then another wide receiver 1 season for Nico Collins, going for 71 receptions, 1,100 plus yards, 6 touchdowns. But CJ Stroud, bit hit or miss last season, right? Some big performances and also some big letdowns, specifically there in the playoffs a few times. And he will be playing with one of the best defenses as well. So maybe a team that does want to keep it on the ground more. Eric, your call on this one: George Pickens or your boy Nico?
Yeah, I'll be accused of being a homer here, and I don't mind catching that shade. It's Nico Collins for me. Ultimately, a pretty comparable selection here between the two. The thing that I think gives some people pause about Nico Collins in this upcoming season is a little bit rather some more mouths to feed in this Texans passing game, including a potential return of Tank Dell. But actually, that return, in my mind, should actually work in his favor, right? You look at his splits. He's played 18 games with Tank Dell on the field. He's played 53 without. In those 18 games, he's scoring almost 5 fantasy points more per game,
Oh, wow.
sitting right around 17 fantasy points in those games with Tank Dell out there. 17 fantasy points, mind you, the exact number of points per game that George Pickens scored last year in what will likely be a career season. And then also you have to make the downside case for George Pickens. He is electric when he is locked in and when football has his attention. Part of the reasons why Pittsburgh shipped him out for a third rounder is he is a ticking time bomb, and I don't feel comfortable waiting for him to turn back into a pumpkin on my roster. So I'll happily go with Nico here.
Steve, I want you to take sides here. I don't want you to be biased towards your boss or anything, but where are you going here? George Pickens versus Nico.
I'm going George Pickens. Give me the guy who just exploded and is in the offense that has no defense on the other side of it. I think Eric's point about the fact that, I like the Tank Dell's coming back. I like that, I like Nico Collins, the talent. I like all that good stuff. But that is an elite defense. And CJ Stroud suddenly got a case of the yips toward the end of the last season. That was really scary. Dallas seems to be playing the game of like, we'll just score more points than you. Go ahead, walk it in, all we care. They are doing one of the worst jobs I've ever seen at roster construction in terms of a defense, because they have like a star and then a star and then a star and then like nothing. And it's just like a void everywhere else. And they think that 3 players are going to be able to cover 11, and it's a mess. So I expect George Pickens to be locked in, especially if he's in another contract year where he's going after a big deal because he's probably playing on the tag because Jerry Jones doesn't know how to negotiate. I expect George Pickens to be looking to cash in and become the highest paid wide receiver in football next season.
Wow. Steve, I'm 100% with you on this particular debate. And I will like add a prelude that both of these wide receivers, I think, are like priced towards their ceiling. So they're not really on my draft radar. Like I would rather probably go with a running back in that
situation. I just push back real quick at something where people say this, like, there is a number where, like, yes, they are up against their ceiling, but like, there's not that many numbers left. I don't always love when people are like, oh, they kind of being drafted at their ceiling. They're like the RB1. It's like, well, yeah, there's really nowhere else to go. Like, you're either the guy or you're not the guy. Like,
if I'm drafting a top receiver in the top 10 position, I want them to have wide receiver 1 overall upside. And I just don't know with Nico Collins and that defense that he plays with. And also, you mentioned CJ Stroud and same with George. Like if George Pickens, was there no CeeDee Lamb, like I think he does have wide receiver 1 upside. However, I will just say like in this particular debate though, like I think GP is the way we have to go, right? Like you look at targets 8th in the NFL last season, you look at red zone targets 3rd, you look at air yards. These are high leverage, high value targets. He's 7th. George Pickens is team pass plays per game. He's 3rd. And then all the efficiency metrics, really, really great, as well. Whether you want to look at first downs per route run, he's top 10. Whether you want to look at juke rate, like pretty much everything from a schematic and also a metric standpoint is pointing in a favor of a George Pickens, who was, by explosive rating, the 10th most explosive wide receiver last season. So, I mean, I know Nico Collins has very comparable stats in this area. Is that where you're going there, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, incredibly comparable stats. And I think your point is bang on that if CeeDee Lamb gets out of the way, then George Pickens is clearly in that wide receiver 1 conversation. He did it last year, right? He was wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, and wide receiver 24 in the games where CeeDee Lamb was not playing. But the games where CeeDee Lamb was playing, he's got a lot of wide receiver 17s and 35s and 58s in there, right? So if you are wanting to bank on a CeeDee Lamb injury, then you should adjust your rankings accordingly, because George Pickens is very clearly a top 5, if not a top 3 receiver, and CeeDee Lamb should not be drafted anywhere near where he's being picked right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you heard it here first. Let's go ahead and get back to the RB, starting with Bhayshul Tuten, RB22 versus Cam Skattebo, RB24. Right now, Tuten, he now gets his shot to run this Jacksonville Liam Cohen-led offense, and Travis Etienne moving to the Bayou. And the former Hokie here was the fastest running back in last year's class. I was all over him in fantasy drafts, and it didn't really pay off because he only scored not a ton of points here, 7 touchdowns, which was great as a rookie, but only 380 combined yards across 15 games. He's going to share that backfield, though, with LaQuint Allen Jr., second-year player out of the Q, and also Chris Rodriguez Jr. comes over from the nation's capital. Cam Skattebo, sensational run through 8 games. Pace is the RB9 overall in that stretch, 410 yards, 5 rushing touchdowns on the ground, and then 24 receptions on 32 targets and 2 touchdowns through the air. John Harbaugh now takes over command there in the nation's largest city, the Big Apple, and Jackson Dart will still be back under center. Steve, back to you. Bhayshul Tuten versus my boy, Cam Skattebo.
All right, I think we need to slow down on the word sensational. You can't say sensational and then say he was 9th. That's just not
What
fair.
do you mean? He was drafted like RB40. Yeah, that was sensational, baby. Rookie. Let's go.
Those numbers aren't even all that impressive. It's like 50 yards a game. It's just not great. It's Bhayshul Tuten, and it's like by a mile. This is not
wow.
Close. This is all day. Like, you very rarely get coaches coming out and being like, here's why I let our star player go. And Liam Cohen was just singing the praises of Bhayshul Tuten and his advanced metrics, like left, right, and center. Cam Skattebo will last 4 games and get himself hurt. He doesn't play with a style that's going to last the whole season. He's not explosive enough. It's going to rely entirely on touchdowns and busted coverage like it did, where he got a wide open, like 40-yard touchdown pass to him because no one covered him, because no one expected him to go up for the pass. It's just, Skattebo is not an NFL running back in any way, shape, or form. He is not an NFL running back. He is not. He's more of a fullback. Throw him back in the days of Mike Allstott, and you got something cooking a little bit more. But this is just not his kind of league. He's not good at spread it out. He's not good at big plays. He's not explosive. Tuten, he's a burner. I expect big numbers, and I expect 1,000-yard season out of him. Give me Bhayshul Tuten all day.
Yeah, I think you're criminally underrating Cam Skattebo. I mean, if there was one thing that guy was, I felt like it was explosive, because he can absolutely thump people and keep running through them. And I think the issue I have with Bhayshul Tuten is you have a guy like LaQuint Allen Jr., who's a great pass catcher up there in northern New York for a few seasons, who's going to take some of that receiving work. Then you also have Chris Rodriguez Jr., likely going to profile as that red zone goal line type of running back. Yeah, you can have all the between the 20 work you want, Bhayshul Tuten. Cam Skattebo is going to get that goal line work unless they go after someone like Jeremiah Love in the top 5 picks of the NFL draft, if he's even available. And he's also a dang good pass catcher as well. So, Steve, Eric, he's not
even the best running back on his own team.
I would completely disagree with that as well. Eric, where do you come down here in this divisive debate?
Yeah, I can see why it's divisive. I think the call's pretty close overall, so I will lean on some of my degenerate tendencies and chase some of that closing line value, right? When we get through April's draft here in a few weeks and the Giants do not take Love out of Notre Dame, all of a sudden Cam Skattebo is going to vault up to running back 17, running back 18, right? Like, the thing that has his value sitting where it is that there is legitimate concern that the Giants might bring in another runner. I don't think Harbaugh, coming in as the adult in the room, would spend that type of draft capital on yet another running back when he's got 2 viable options in his backfield today, right? So I think we're a month ahead of a point where Cam Skattebo is going 2 rounds earlier than where he is right now, and I love that closing line value. I do think that he has enough upside and enough explosiveness to be an electric threat in the NFL, especially coupled with what Jackson Dart brings to the game, right? Like, not afraid to uncork it, not afraid to tuck it, and make the defenses pay for not accounting for the run game. That creates leverage for the running back, right? Bhayshul Tuten, he's fast and he is explosive, and that's always fun to think about. But, very much so is going to be splitting work with LaQuint Allen in an offense that is far more pass heavy than what we're expecting to see out of the Giants this year.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants last year, they had 30 run plays per game. That was the second most. I expect something similar now with John Harbaugh, a guy who likes to run with defense and running the ball. And like, Steve, you say he's not explosive yards created per touch. He's 6th last season. You look at dominant rating, he's 9th. So everything he's doing, yards per touch, 4.9, coming in at 20th. Like this is a guy who, yeah, maybe he doesn't have that, home run hitting speed, but he's still someone who averaged over 75 combined yards per game last season. as a rookie. Those are his first 8-9 games. Like Tuten had a similar opportunity at one point and did not do that.
I am just not, you know what? I have watched Cam Skattebo for a long time. I watched him at the combine. He ran too slow of a 40 time for me. It's just, I would put money down right now that he doesn't finish as a top 24 running back.
I would absolutely take
Take
that
in points per game.
Yeah, I
That
would take
injury
it.
concern is legitimate.
Yeah, I would take it in points per game as well. If that is the deal. If we want to do one of our
I'm saying
classic,
RB24, he will finish outside the top 24.
finish outside the top 24 points per game. Yeah, I'm in.
No,
Let's
not
do
points per game. Just where he finishes. That number next to his name.
Well, that's debatable because anyone can get hurt then. So you get the whole injury clause there too. So no, I'm not taking that. It's not a good deal for me then because any player can get hurt. So no, I'm not. I just think I think you're being a little short-sighted, Steve. I think you have a little bit of a take lock here because there are other players who don't run fast 40s. Kyron Williams, Puka Nakua, and they still go on to have a great NFL career.
He runs a shockingly slow 40. There's a cutoff. Right. It's 4.55. Anything above that for a running back, I'm out. And if you run slower than a 4.55, you cannot be a starting running back in the NFL.
We saw him last year. He was one of the most elite electric players in that time.
He wasn't electric. He was really good at thumping and getting to the. He never made it past the linebackers. He wasn't busting long runs. He was just running into linebackers. He's really good at getting through arm tackles, but he's not going to bust that long run for you. He's not explosive. You guys want him to be explosive. He's good at really slamming his forehead into other people, but he is not a burner. He is not going to break away from
I'm not
players.
Saying he's burner,
and now
but
that
yards created per touch, 6, Steve. How is that not explosive? Explosion can come in more ways than just speed. Explosion can come in power too.
Size. It's 8 games. I mean, it's skewed. You have one explosive play and that thing jumps through the roof. He's just not that guy. I just don't see him as that guy. And maybe, if I'm wrong, people know I will come on this show and admit openly that I was incorrect. But until I am proven wrong, I will lay down what I think is the best bet for me and for the people who listen to my side of the advice and say, take Bhayshul Tuten.
Okay. All right. Well, one place you can come and roast Steve or Eric, depending, or myself, depending on who's right or wrong about this, is the IBT Football Family. That is the place where you can get access to chat with myself and our analysts and all the great people who watch and tune into the show every single week. You're also going to get entry into memorabilia giveaways for absolutely no cost. That is our exclusive community over there that you can join for free right now, or you can upgrade right now as well to get our full betting cards, touchdown call contest for only $3.99 per month or $36 for the year. That's also going to include unlocking all the great perks and benefits that come with our IBT Racing family, the giveaways, the chatting, the weekly betting model, the picks, the predictions, the head-to-head matchup contest, as well as the IBT Entertainment family, Steve's exclusive monthly model, which gives you the box office and Rotten Tomato score projections to make your Cowshy picks, as well as our full entertainment betting slips and that Survivor 50 League as well, plus IBT Golf Family Masters Week right now going on. So we have, of course, the weekly betting model for that, Jake's full picks and predictions, giveaways, and, of course, that PGA One and Done contest. Gentlemen, let's go ahead and get back to the fun. Let's get back to the good vibes that we got going on here. And let's do it out in a place where it's always good vibes because they're, living that Rocky Mountain high life. This is Jaylen Waddle, wide receiver 24, against Mike Evans, wide receiver 25. 2 familiar faces in new places, if you would. Jaylen Waddle was traded to Denver for a first and a third round pick after finishing as the wide receiver 24 from a fantasy perspective last year, but he did fail to reach 1,000 yards for the second straight season. Mike Evans, meanwhile, signs with the 49ers, needs a new change of scenery, wants to go out there where the electromagnetivity might, mess him up, but we'll see what happens there. But he joins a banged up 49ers team that George Kittle will start the year likely not at 100%. We have CMC coming off 1 million touches and Ricky Pearsall, who struggled to stay on the field in his 2 seasons. And last year we had Mike Evans play just 8 games, and he was held under 400 yards and did just 3 touchdowns as well. Eric, where are you going here? Would you rather draft Jaylen Waddle or Mike Evans?
I'm going to go with Mike Evans here. Candidly, this is a choice that I'm not really wanting to make all that much, but it's one that the board will fall that way, and I'll have to sweat it out more than I would like. If nothing else, I think we're looking at a consideration of target competition, right? This is a Devontae Adams like role that he could step into and gobble up touchdowns left and right for an offense that actually scored a fair amount when they're in the red zone, right? San Francisco was fourth last year, 65% conversion rate from red zone plays into touchdown scoring drives, right? So that is a tailor-made role for what Mike Evans has left in the tank, whereas Jaylen Waddle enters the Broncos offense, for my money, clearly as their most talented receiver, but not out there with a bunch of scrubs, right? Guys that should still command a fair amount of target volume and workload in this system. And I just don't think it's as clean of a picture for how to project Jaylen Waddle in his new role as it is for Mike Evans.
Steve, this feels like a really floor versus upside case. I do believe Mike Evans, like Eric pointed out, maybe could have a Devontae Adams type of season out there where it's high touchdowns. It's some of these high profile catches that he's making. However, I really do like that, Sean Payton went out there and he wanted to get his guy and he got him, right? And yes, he is going to have to compete with Courtland Sutton. But aside from that, it's guys who they're better than just Jags. Like they're not just a guy, but it's, they're Jag plus, right? Troy Franklin, Pat Bryant, Marvin Mims, players I'm not necessarily scared of. So with that said, are you still team Waddle or have things flipped here and you're heading with the steady vet?
No, I'm going Jaylen Waddle. I think Mike Evans on the 49ers is going to look a lot like Randy Moss on the 49ers. It's going to be an old man in an ugly uniform doing not much of anything that we're used to seeing him doing. It's going to be a simplified route tree. I think Mike Evans is I think we saw age get the better of him. I know he got hurt, but then he came back and he kind of looked old and it's just not the same guy. And that's okay. I mean, we got a decade of dominance out of Mike Evans and, guys like him, that's just what happens. The Broncos went out, spent a first and a third on Jaylen Waddle, which on one hand is an indictment of the rookie wide receiver class, I think, in my opinion, coming in, as well as a very clear sign that they thought they needed high upside wide receiver help. And I don't anticipate that they spent a first and a third on Jaylen Waddle and they're going to give him like barely any touches. I think this is going to be a monster jump in usage. I think he's going to have really high quality touches, design touches, deep ball, intermediate ball, short ball, all over the field. I wouldn't be surprised if they get him involved in jet sweeps and things like that, utilizing that speed. I think we could see a much closer to his rookie season kind of usage than we saw last season.
Yeah, aside from like the Cameron Meredith signing back there in New Orleans, I felt like Sean Payton really, when he would pay players, traditionally I would want to follow that money. He was one of those coaches and one of those organizations that he was at the front of that I traditionally wanted to. I will say, like, full disclosure, I would take either one of these at their ADP. I think it's a very fine price tag. I will lean with the safety of Waddle, though. I am with Steve that I think there will just be more targets, specifically in a PPR league, that I feel good about. Mike Evans might have that touchdown upside, but still a lot of question marks out there in San Francisco. I want to see Brock Purdy stay healthy. And like, I just could see things crashing down a bit heavier in San Fran, if that makes sense, if injuries were to unfold once again on that offensive line or with Brock Purdy or their other skill players that would make me a little trepidatious. And again, those radio magnetic waves out there, man, I don't know if our boy Mikey E can hold on.
Do your worst.
Yeah. Let's go ahead, though, gentlemen. Let's get to the one-off positions here, where I got first a tight end debate for you. Kyle Pitts versus Sam LaPorta. Pitts checking in at tight end 7. LaPorta one spot behind him at tight end 8. Pitts, Steve, I got to give you credit where credit's due. He was one of your biggest sleeper calls last year. He finished as the tight end 2. He set a career high in targets with 118 and turned that into 88 receptions, over 900 yards, 5 touchdowns, which included a first-round winning 45.6 PPR point performance in Week 15 of the NFL season. Tommy Reese did follow Kevin Stefanski to call plays in the ATL. And we also have Tua, who will be competing with Michael Penix Jr. at quarterback, lefty versus lefty. Sam LaPorta Jr. suffered that herniated disc in 2025 and was limited to just 9 games. However, he will once again be back with the Detroit Lions. Same offense, same quarterback, same skilled players around him, and he was on pace for 700-plus yards for the third time in his career prior to that injury. So, Steve, where do you go here between Kyle Pitts and Sam LaPorta.
I'm going Kyle Pitts. And again, this is not a very close one for me. First off, I don't like back injuries. Back injuries are freaky. Herniated discs, they can get real messy real quick. That could be a lingering thing.
Feel better about a degen knee and Kyle Pitts?
I honestly, yeah. Like, I think the fact that Kyle Pitts didn't look busted or broken down at all. I mean, he finished the year out. He was great. Like, tight end too. You know what I mean? Sam LaPorta, when he had his monster year, it was really on the back of a lot of trick plays. Like, I think he's solid. I think he's a solid tight end. Don't get me wrong. But I think tight end 8 is about what he is. You know what I mean? We know Kyle Pitts can be better than tight end 7. We know he can do that. We've seen him do that. And I think with Stefanski going in, we saw what he's gotten out of David Njoku, and we saw what he had last year, even running both him and Harold Fannin out there. Tight ends are going to eat in this offense, and I'm really excited to see what Kyle Pitts does as a move option at tight end, getting some of those tight end screens and things like that highlight his athleticism. And I'm anticipating a very, very big year, maybe 1,000-yard plus season out of Kyle Pitts. I wouldn't be surprised if a top 3 finish is in his range of outcomes here.
And they don't have much else out there, right? Like they're running out Jahan Dotson. I think they have Zacchaeus in the slot right now. So it's not a lot. 2 things, though, to know. One, I do think we're being a little short-sighted. Sam LaPorta only about 2 years removed from a rookie season where he was, I think, the tight end 1. But a lot of that was built on touchdowns, right? And that's the question mark here. Are you chasing touchdowns with Sam LaPorta, or can he maybe reel in some more volume? Or are you willing to go back to the saddle here with Kyle Pitts and saying, hey, last year was legit. We're back on board. Eric Rumoff, where do you come down on Pitts versus LaPorta?
I don't even know why this is a debate. It is so clearly Kyle Pitts for me, right? You mentioned Sam LaPorta's injury shortened season and how, had he played all 17 games, he would be pacing for about 700 yards. That'd only be 230 fewer yards than Kyle Pitts, whose bum knee has allowed him to play 17 games in 4 of his 5 NFL seasons. Steve absolutely hit it straight down the fairway with Kevin Stefanski. We know that this scheme and this system heavily utilizes the tight end, both as blockers and as protectors, but also as points to create leverage and misdirection in the offense. So I think we can look at what we saw from Kyle Pitts last season as likely his floor for this season. But moreover, just strategically, this is the tier break, right? Like, if you're not drafting Kyle Pitts, you are waiting until the last or second to last round to go out and get your tight end.
Yeah, that's almost how I was going to play it. I would almost say, like, to me, that tier break's almost at Harold Fannin Jr. And if I can't get Fannin or Warren or any of those top 3 guys, like, I'm really kind of just willing to wait. I'm okay with Pitts and LaPorta at their ADP, but like at this point, I'll just wait and take some shots on like Sadiq or Stowers, or, you know, even like a Big Chig or something like that later on.
But just to be clear, I think Pitts is on the right side of the tier break. After Pitts is off the board, I would just as soon spend a 13th round pick on a tight end as I would on Sam LaPorta 12 picks later.
Do you agree with that too, Steve? Like, if you can't get Kyle Pitts or anyone sooner than that, you're just going to wait on tight end?
Yeah. Yeah. And I probably won't even end up with Kyle Pitts because, you know me, in one-off positions.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Last debate here at the signal caller position: Jayden Daniels, QB3, and Joe Burrow, QB4. JD Honey right now played just 9 games last season, but was QB18 on points per game basis. Really kind of struggled. And I think part of that was offensive line didn't play up as good as we thought it would be. Scheme wasn't that great from Cliff Kingsbury in year 2. They now switch offensive coordinators. They also switched around in cast, which has really left him kind of with an empty cupboard, if you would. Terry McLaurin, Big Chig Okonkwo, that's really going to be his top pass catchers unless they address the position in the NFL draft. Joe Burrow, meanwhile, only played 8 games himself, but he did get off to a very, very slow start that absolutely nuked fantasy managers who drafted him in the top 5 rounds. He had 3 straight single-digit performances, resulting in a quarterback 15 finish on a points per game basis. So even if you string that out the whole way, maybe that would go up some, but neither of these guys return value, even on a points per game basis, despite the injuries. His defense, though, like Dak Prescott's, like the Cowboys earlier, probably should be in the bottom third. I do like some of the moves they made. They have improved, but they did lose Trey Hendrickson. I don't know if that pass rush will be as good, but he does still have a star wide receivers, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Eric, Joe Burrow, JD Honey, which one you drinking?
Neither. I think both of their price tags are a bit too rich for my blood, especially when, 10, 12 picks later.
That
You
ain't the
can look at
game.
guys
Neither
like
ain't an option. There ain't
Jalen
a
Hurts
C.
or Drake May, but I will participate in the construct and plant my flag. Whenever I'm making these types of decisions, a lot of it has to do with explosive upside. And for the injury concern that comes with it, Jayden Daniels' ability as a runner gives him an upside that Joe Burrow simply does not have, right? Joe Burrow would have to go out there and have a 5,400 yard type of season to, reach into the realm of the elite athletes at the position. So if you're banking on health from two guys that don't exactly have the best history of that, I'll go with the guy who has more upside and Jayden Daniels.
And if you're watching here on YouTube, you see that like Joe Burrow's like a mini me version of Joe. He's like the small version, and we have like the full Mario here on Jayden Daniels. Steve, where do you come down on this? I think I slightly lean Burrow, but I am with Eric that I'm really not interested in any top quarterbacks. Like Jalen Hurts, I think is the best value if you want one of these elite guys going around that QB6, QB7 mark. I just think like we had Jake point out like there is a upside case for Joe Burrow to lead the league in passing yards yet again.
There is, but there's also a case that Joe Burrow has a hard time staying on the field, and like Eric said, he'd have to put up like a dummy kind of season and probably break a record or two if both guys hit their ceiling of what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
Jayden Daniels, you know me, I am always running quarterback first. I will always take the guy who can put up the points. That's safer with his legs. Joe Burrow, I don't know what was going on with him last season. He kind of looked like a mess, and frankly, looks a little checked out. I hate to say it, but he did. He kind of just looks like someone who I don't know. This is so weird to say. I don't know how much Joe Burrow really cares about
how much he loves football. Yeah,
football.
It does seem it does from a guy from Ohio who like felt very blue collary when he was drafted. He does feel like he enjoys being a celebrity, doesn't he?
Like he kind of just every time they ask him about it, he's kind of like, yeah. Like, and that's kind of his answer to everything. He's like, yeah, I don't know. And he's like, it's fine. And they're like, do you want to be out of Cincinnati? He's like, I don't care. He doesn't seem to give a heck.
I think this is a proving case for just what the Bengals organization can do for a player's will to play in the NFL.
Yeah,
I guess, but he went to a Super Bowl. He got his guys paid too. Like it's not like he didn't like they didn't give him like what he wanted or other than the offensive line being trash. Like that does suck.
And it's terrible. But I think Jayden Daniels, I think they're gonna put another player or they're gonna put multiple offensive players on this offense. Don't get it twisted. They're gonna wind up with either like Jeremiah Love or like a Carnell Tate or something like that in the first round. Second round, you could probably get like a Jordan Tyson, maybe if you move up.
I ain't believing that smoke. Stop believing the smoke that Jordan Tyson has fallen out of the first. There's been a lot of rumblings on the internet. You're not alone, Steven, making that claim.
I don't think that's just smoke, right? Like the year after year, the biggest thing that can tank a guy's draft stock is injury concern.
They said the same thing with not because of injuries, but this year, like 2 weeks before the draft last year, Tet was not going to be the top wide receiver, and Golden was going to go over. He was going to fall out of the top 10.
That wasn't about injury, though. This guy's got a hamstring injury that's keeping him from doing drills for 9 months. Like NFL front offices get spooked about that kind of stuff. I think he's a first round talent easily. It's people get scared spending that type of capital when there's injury question marks.
But regardless, whether it's him or maybe like a Mekhi Lemon who seems to be talking himself right out of the first round or something like that, I anticipate them addressing the wide receiver position and getting someone in there. Cooper would be great as well. But I just take Jayden Daniels. Give me the running upside.
Okay. Gentlemen, one more question before we get out of here. Just a fun fantasy football discussion. Would you rather, as a last place punishment, run a milk mile, take the SAT, or perform a 5-minute stand-up comedy set written entirely by your league? Eric, where are you going with your do or die fantasy football punishment?
Man, are you really going to put me on blast like this and make me ask what a milk mile is on international
milk and then run a mile?
You basically have to drink 48 ounces of milk, and but you're on a track, so you do it every 400 meters is pretty much what you would do. You would start,
so every 4 laps, you're down in some milk.
Every 1 lap, you're downing in milk.
Every lap.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm pretty firmly in the camp of the stand-up comedy set, right? Like,
Oh, really?
in order for this to be embarrassing, you have to be susceptible to shame, and the IBT faithful will know that I am entirely shameless. So
Yeah, it's
happy to
true.
go up there and make an ass out of myself when it's someone else's words in an environment where people are expecting out-of-pocket stuff to be spoken into a microphone.
Steve, using your stomach and your legs, your big brain, or your guts on this one?
I hate throwing up. I hate throwing up, so I'm not doing the
Such a
milk
baby
mile.
when it's time to throw up.
I hate throwing
No.
up. It's so gross. I don't like it. My ADHD brain hates the SATs. The idea of sitting through that test again. Listen, I already took it. I did my time. It got me into college. Went great.
Florida State, too. Florida State.
Yeah,
ACC,
yeah.
baby.
Yeah, and then give me the stand-up routine. I've done it in the past. I know how to stand up there and command a crowd. I'm good to go.
Okay, well, if I wrote your jokes, I don't think you would like them. I would certainly.
It's all about selling it. Honestly, like that's the thing is if you don't act embarrassed, people will just let it happen.
Yeah.
It's whatever. And most people at an open mic comedy set are so unbelievably bad
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
like you'd have to try to be bad. And the fact that you would try to be bad would make you funny. So it would just work.
I thought this was going to be a slam dunk for the milk mile because that's where I'm going, man. Like that feels like the lowest effort if I'm being
Seth,
honest
I'll
with
send
you.
you $20 right now. Go do one. And then
I'm
come
doing
back
a
and let me
milk
know.
mile for $20. Like, I mean, we talk maybe 100. I'll get in the ring.
I feel
puking
like
by-
this needs to be the stakes of the Tuten versus Skattebo bet now.
Ooh,
Losers got to
milk
do a
mile.
milk mile.
Oh, I'm not doing a milk mile for anything. I'll get a
Okay,
new
what-
tattoo. I would have done a
what-
tattoo league.
What about if we
happily.
do this? These three exact punishments. Whoever's wrong has to pick one of these three.
Yeah, sure. That's fine.
Okay. I will say I would record the milk mile. Well, we'll record all of them and get them on the channel. But I would do the milk mile for the channel, just almost for the bit as well. I've done beer miles, like those kind of suck, but like, and the milk definitely wouldn't feel good. But hey, sometimes you gotta gut it out here a little bit. I was, I had a rough day out in Pittsburgh on Friday for the first Pirates game. Woke up and definitely had to pull the trigger a little bit. Wasn't feeling good, but Giant Eagle, little Profin, little Gatorade got me feeling good. So, hey, it sucks, but you get back on the horse, right? That's how you do it out here.
No, that's awful.
You're a
That's
nurse,
gross.
dude. You hate throw up and you're a nurse?
I hate throwing up. I also hate throw up. Yeah, I do hate throw up. It's another reason why I shouldn't have children. Like the idea that they just throw up all the time when they're babies and you just have to deal with that is disgusting. It drives me crazy.
Wretched.
Eric? Yeah, he knows.
Yeah, I'm in the exact same boat. Anytime that I've got to hurl, I convince myself that I'm dying and I fight it off for as long as possible. It's a tough scene.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll eat a bottle of Tums first. Like I'll eat a dangerous level of Tums to avoid throwing up.
All right. Well, what's not a dangerous scene is the IBT podcast. I appreciate all the spirited debate, the back and forth, the just bitter rivalry we're brewing over here between the Cam Skattebo and the Bhayshul Tuten Truthers. That's it, though, on this episode of the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast. If you've rode with us this long, please do us a quick favor. Give this video a thumbs up. Also, make sure you subscribe both to the IBT Podcast sub-channel and the IBT main channel, where over there we have full access to the fantasy football, NFL betting content, as well as the college football betting, NASCAR betting, PGA betting, and entertainment betting and reviews, all to help you cash more and to enjoy the ride along the way. Also, be sure to check out in-betweenmedia.com for some dope written content and add a /chat on that. That's in-betweenmedia.com/chat to go over to our community. It's absolutely free for you to join right now. Come let us know. You like milk miles? You like stand-up comedy? Like, what would you take? Also, let us know down in the comments. We want to hear from you. For my friends, Eric Aromoff, and of course, Stephen Lawson, I'm Seth Wilcock. Thank you so much for watching. Keep on chugging that milk till next time and keep it in between. Thank you.